Occupy Wall Street movement is back on the front burner politically after a video of campus police at UC Davis pepper spraying. There it is. See it all right there. Nonviolent protesters, and that went viral this weekend. Today, the campus police chief was put on administrative leave, joining the 2 police officers who used the pepper spray. All of them on leave now. 11 protesters were treated at the scene after being sprayed, and 2 were sent to the hospital. The New York Times reports that after the episode, a police official said the officers felt threatened by the protesters. But in the video, which we're watching right now, the protesters do not appear threatening at all. In fact, they look supine. Then on Saturday night at the Family Leader Thanksgiving Forum in Des Moines, presidential candidate Newt Gingrich disparaged the Occupy Wall Street movement. Let's listen to Newt adding insult to injury.
All of the Occupy movement starts with the premise that we all owe them everything. They take over a public park they didn't pay for, to go nearby to use bathrooms they didn't pay for, to beg for food from places they don't want to pay for, to obstruct those who are going to work to pay the taxes to sustain the bathrooms and to sustain the park. Now, that is a pretty good symptom of how much the left has collapsed as a moral system in this country, and why you need to reassert something as simple as saying to them, go get a job right after you take a bath.
What a pander bear. That's Cynthia Tucker's joining us right now. She's a political columnist. She's now a visiting professor at the University of Georgia. Ryan Christie's a Republican strategist and a resident fellow at the Harvard University Institute of Politics, the IOP. Ryan Christie, what did you think of the pepper spraying, A, and what did you think of Newt Gingrich adding insult to injury by saying they're the bad people, the good people are the guys opposed to them?
Well, good evening, Chris. I was pretty appalled looking at that video of the students at UC Davis. Here, these students aren't protesting. Here, the students aren't battling with the police. Here, the students just appear to be sitting there. And I wouldn't call that pepper spray. I'd say that was a pepper hose. I mean, it just looked like excessive force for what the students were doing or, frankly, not doing. As it relates to what the former speaker had to say, I understand what he's saying. I don't know that Occupy Wall Street is necessarily 100% tied in with the left, but I do agree with the sentiment that people need to get a permit to petition lawfully. They need to occupy space where they are there legally, and I think that my wife included, who works in the financial district in New York City, of blocking people's ability to get to and from work is a little bit excessive for me.
Do you think Newt Gingrich, who's made his career out of lobbying, basically selling influence through one means or another, should be talking about people getting a job? His job notion is basically living off of his experience as speaker and exerting his influence over the government. Is that a job?
Well, Chris, I think I founded Christie Strategies based on my experience working on the Hill and in the White House, and I think people certainly value counsel from people who've been there and done that. So, yes, I think it's a job. It certainly keeps me up late at night and gets me up early in the morning. Right, okay, so Newt Gingrich is advising people to get jobs like his, which is basically, you know, strategic advice on how to manipulate Congress.
Exactly.
Particularly in Congress. Ron, you worked in the executive branch. He's talking about how to manipulate members of Congress who are supposed to represent the people. Newt teaches interest groups and people with money how to influence other ways. What they want done.
On top of all that, Chris, I would argue that it is not politically smart for any Republicans to be out there bashing the Occupy Wall Street movement, because many Americans, Americans may not identify with their tactics, but many Americans identify with the income inequality argument that the protesters are getting out there out front. And who is to say? A lot of these folks, I went to Zuccotti Park one morning about 2 weeks ago, talked to a lot of the protesters. Some of them have looked for jobs and can't find jobs in this economy. Yeah. And so this idea you need to just go get a job, tell that to people who've been out of work for a long time and can't find a job.
Every time there's a hotel job opening in any big city, Ron, you know that there's like 2,000 or 3,000 guys, men usually, just waiting in line for those jobs. Anyway, I think the Congress ought to take a bath after what they did on the, I mean, literally and positive after what they did on that super committee. I wouldn't be bragging about my white-collar job right now. Anyway, Republican Congressman Joe Walsh, this guy is a piece of work. He's from Illinois. Maybe you should go back there. He criticized the Occupy Wall Street movement at a town hall meeting on Saturday night, saying the group's proposed solutions were, well, this is a handy little phrase, anti-American. Let's listen.
I generally think this whole Occupy Wall Street stuff is a well-orchestrated, well-funded, far-left effort to disrupt the American people and rile up Obama.
Okay, they're advocating anti-American solutions out there in Occupy Wall Street. Well, the congressman then took a question from the audience about veterans who've joined the Occupy Wall Street protest. Let's listen to that.
What about the veterans that you see protesting Occupy Wall Street? Do you consider them anti-American? Do you consider veterans who fought in foreign wars anti-American? That's abysmal.
I don't know how many veterans are part of the Occupy protest. I can't imagine it's many. But anyone who would advocate socialist solutions to certain problems in this country, they don't understand this country.
Well, they're socialists, they're anti-American, and I don't think he handled the issue whether how many are the veterans. I think that's a question he was sort of stumped by.
Well, like Newt Gingrich, he doesn't know much about these protesters at all. He doesn't know who's out there. A veteran was seriously injured during a clash with police in Occupy Oakland. Again, those protesters weren't doing anything, and police came in with excessive force. But
by the way, he's a deadbeat dad. Just to put these straight, he owes $117,000 to his wife for child support. So his idea of talking about bums and all these people, the way they talk, like they're not clean on that point.
Well, they're all irresponsible in trying to live off somebody else is what they're trying to tar them with. And it seems to me the Occupy Wall Street movement is very American. America is supposed to be about opportunity for all, egalitarianism, and that's what Occupy Wall Street is protesting for.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ron, we have to go right now. I'll get you next time.